Good night and welcome to the Zenaida Moya Show. I am your host, Zenaida. It's a pleasure to be here tonight on this lovely Tuesday, 15th March. Actually, it's my sister's birthday, and so I want to give a special shout out to my sister Marina. Hoping that she had a wonderful day today. I really wished her happy birthday, but it's such a special day. And so I want to say that welcome to all the viewers tonight. We have a very special show lined up. It's going to be twofold. You know, we're going to start the show off. And as usual, I would want that you go ahead and share the live. We are also on YouTube and on different other mediums. I don't have a list of all the mediums, but Marvin, we're on the other ones as well. Yeah, so we're on quite a number of mediums. So it's not only Facebook that we're on, but normally I'm so used to streaming on you guys, streaming via Facebook primarily and Rumble, but now we're also on other mediums. So I also want to give a special shout out to our viewers on other mediums. Again, let us move right on ahead. Tonight we have, later on we're going to have Mr. Brian Plummer. Brian will be on, and we will be discussing about love. We're going to be discussing, and it's not that love that you're talking about. It's just when he comes on, you're going to understand the debt situation. Debt as in money. All right, about money, and of course how that will affect us, destiny, the future. It was the topic definitely was put in a very poetic manner. But when we start discussing it, then you will understand. But I have here on the show right now my very good friend, Mr. Arthur Saldivar. He's an attorney, and Arthur is also an economist. I always say Arthur and I went to school together, and so you know, we go way back. So Arthur, we will be discussing, you know, something. As a matter of fact, Arthur will be the one leading in this particular discussion because, as you very well know, the Ukraine-Russia war that is happening right now has affected us, is affecting us. And depending on which fence you're on, some of you might be on either side. I have friends on both sides. However, that doesn't stop us that we have to be fair to the people that are involved. And so with that said, I want to tell you that tonight we will be discussing about that situation. So moving right along, I want to again welcome to the show, Arthur.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here, Zenaida, and I would like to also say good night to your viewers. It's a pleasure to be in a position to share.
Yes, Arthur. Yes, thank you, Arthur. And so we know of the situation, and you and I spoke about what could be done. Now, please, people, understand that I can't say that I will be very objective as it regards to the war. I won't even say which side I kind of lean towards. Just saying though that we will be discussing about the impact on the people who. Okay, hold on, 1 second. Go to break. One moment. Yes. All right, guys. All right, guys. We just wanted. They were saying there was an echo, and so we wanted to deal with that echo. Everything is okay. All right. So with that said, I would just like to ask Kelvin. Kelvin, if you're checking. Okay, just making sure. No. All right. We have to make sure that all the technicalities, you know, are worked out so that everybody can hear well. So let's go right ahead, Arthur. And again, good night to all our viewers. You know, I always acknowledge all of you, and I will be ensuring that, you know, everybody gets acknowledged, because I must say that I appreciate every one of you who tune in faithfully to the show every week. And you know, I'm here. We have Arthur on Zoom. Our other guests will be in studio, and so you know, I'm here. I also am looking at Arthur through this medium, and so just bear with me. All right. So Judah Booth, I must say thank you very much. So that's Jacqueline and Jake Booth. Good night, my friends. Gonzalo Herrera, thank you. Good night, thank you for informing us about the echo. Geraldo Koch, good night, my friend, all the way from Toledo. Rachel and Elizabeth Balderramos, good night, thank you about the echo. Just go right ahead. Yes, so Arthur, everything is okay? Okay then, so go right ahead, Arthur. And let us go straight into your. First of all, let me just say that this is our first time that we are multi-streaming. As a matter of fact, we are literally multi-streaming to. I'm sure I know Marvin is what? Over how many platforms?
10.
Yeah, over 10 platforms. And so this is the first time we're doing this. So you know, certain kinks, but now we know. If I have somebody on via Zoom, I have to mute because I'm listening here. So I have to mute so that we don't have the echo. Don't worry, it won't happen again. But just to let you know that this is very monumental in the case for the Zenaida Moya show. And while we do this, also Facebook is an entity. You know, YouTube is also an entity in terms of censorship. I know we're not talking about, you know, the job anymore, so things should get back to normal. But realizing that there is censorship, particularly on those two platforms, of course, Twitter, of course, Instagram, TikTok, we have also branched out onto other platforms. All right? As a matter of fact, for all my friends, I just want to say this before we move on. Because I posted something, you know, I post things, and sometimes I post things as it regards to, you know, the job, and so I got censored for another month. So if if you see that I'm not posting anything and I'm not acknowledging you, it's because I'm again in Facebook jail for another month. Okay, I was on there for like 3 months, so now I'm on here for another month. So I'm deciding whether or not I really want to be on that, but I can still go through the Seabelize Moya account. All right? So with that said, Arthur, my friend, let's move right ahead. You and I were discussing about the piece of, you know, the possibility of a relocation of asylums, of those persons who may be affected from the war and may want to relocate to certain, you know, even to Belize. So I want you to go right ahead and discuss that situation. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me, Arthur? Okay, I'm not sure. Arthur, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me, Arthur?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so were you hearing me just now?
No, you were muted.
Oh. Okay. All right. So let me just. So I have to stay muted to speak to him. Hopefully there's not an echo. Okay. All right, so Arthur, what I was saying is that go right ahead and let us speak about the situation of the possible asylum, the possible individuals who may be fleeing from the war and may need a place to stay. We see them trying to relocate to different countries, but this is something that you were looking at, and you were looking at a possible, helpful, gesture towards them, and we wanted to discuss that. So go right ahead, Arthur.
Well, yes, Zenaida, the reality of it is this. I mean, and it's quite fortuitous that we're dealing with the budget period this time. Most people would know that one of the impacts that we've been able to realize in Belize as a result of what's going on between Ukraine and Russia has been the rise in prices in fuel. And fuel is basically the main catalyst to the rise in cost of living in Belize, because everything that we have in terms of what we consume on a daily basis reaches the stores by virtue of trucks moving goods from the various ports and taking them across the country to the distribution centers, vis-a-vis supermarkets and grocery stores and corner stores, what have you. Now, at this present time, we have diesel being at about $13.29 or something thereabouts, which is a very high cost. And the trucks that move goods use diesel by and large. So the war, or the situation in Ukraine has had an effect. Belize has been considered a country with a very strong humanitarian record since 1978. And at that time, when we had these various civil wars in the Banana Republic around us, our borders were open for persons from Salvador mainly, and thereafter Honduras, and even our neighbor Guatemala have had quite a number of its residents coming over to make homes in Belize and subsequently becoming Belizeans. A lot of being Guatemalan, some have been able to slip in despite constitutional restrictions for that happening, but it has happened. And now we have, as recently as a few weeks ago, the announcement by the present administration that some 60,000 Central Americans will be granted amnesty in Belize. This certainly does not move the needle economically for us in any way, shape, or form, save and except, for the most part, it provides a greater burden on the social services because these people don't really bring additional income. Now, what anyone who's looking at an economy must appreciate is that there are two main factors driving any economy: the availability of labor and the availability of capital. So we have had, in relation to the persons who we've granted amnesty to, and by virtue of immigration situation relating to persons from across the various borders, a very high supply of labor, but very limited capital. We have not had sufficient economic activity to absorb the labor that we have within the country. As a result of that, there's high unemployment. And that high unemployment has given rise to crime in many areas in the country. So we have at this present time the crisis in Ukraine, and I totally accept the position that Belize should not be taking sides, whether it be with Russia or Ukraine. That's not our role. Our role as a humanitarian actor on the global scene is to recognize that there is a need for people to have their interests served in terms of providing for them some safe haven and allowing for persons who are in that need to be granted access to a place where they will be safe, affording them refugee status here at home. We know that our per capita uh, situation in terms of the land to people ratio is very low. Belize has the land area to accommodate more people. We have our situation, especially in the south. Toledo district is one of the districts with the highest land to people ratio. There are fewer persons per square mile in Toledo than anywhere else in the country. So it is my belief that if we were to allow for some 50,000 Ukrainians to be granted access and refugee status in Belize, they could be accommodated easily in the southern part of the country. And what that would do for us is that it would give us immediate access to international funding to allow for those persons to settle in Belize. That's a huge capital injection in the initial short-term stage that would be a boost to the construction industry. That would be a boost to the employment situation for Belizeans across the country, and would be the impetus driving down crime across the country. Outside of that, in the medium and long term, a move like this would elevate our status on the international scene. It would put us in a position to capitalize on international funding much easier than we have had access in the past. Because what it does, really, and we must appreciate who it is we're opening our borders to. When we're talking about persons from Ukraine, we're talking about a highly educated population, a population that will be coming to Belize, at least in the short term, to settle and create some semblance of normalcy for themselves, which would mean that they would want to make themselves as comfortable as possible within our local environs, which means that there would be a large-scale transformation of whichever area is designated for them to occupy. Now, fortunately for us, both the great United States and Guatemala has expressed openly their support for the people of Ukraine. And there are certain spillover benefits that could arise from Ukrainians being granted access in a large scale to Belize, where the Guatemalan claim is concerned,
Okay.
especially if they are situated in the south of the country. Guatemala will be hard pressed to continue to pursue the situation in terms of their claim at the ICJ.
Mhm.
The United States would be hard pressed to allow Guatemala to continue with that posture.
Okay.
Because
So,
nobody would want to see the Ukrainians suffer further.
well, yeah, yeah. So we do know though, with fairness, it is the Ukrainian people the war is in, but we also know that Russians are impacted as well. And
Yes.
so, yeah. So just so that it's clear that Russians are impacted,
And what
and
I'm
whether,
saying here is simply
yeah,
this: whether it be Ukrainians or Russians who are being
origin.
impacted, we would have our borders open to accommodate. At the end of the day, it is basically a humanitarian gesture to allow for persons who are otherwise unable to have normalcy at home to be given the opportunity to rebuild and to have their lives be restored in a way that would allow for them to continue to be as productive as possible. But remember this again, there are various international donor agencies that is geared towards assisting these people in doing just that. And there are countries, in fact, I believe in the United Kingdom has had applications of more than 13,000 Ukrainians, and only 50 were processed. Poland has had certainly over a million, and there are a number of other countries that have been petitioned to accept. Recently, I've heard of Costa Rica making a gesture to allow for Ukrainians to come to Costa Rica, with having them being transported directly from Ukraine to Costa Rica. So countries in the Central American region are looking to capitalize. Mexico has capitalized. Mexico has accommodated more than 20,000 Ukrainians since this dispute has started. And they are getting benefits. In fact, the English government has been offering £10,000 per household that accommodates Ukrainians fleeing from the conflict. Could we not use $10,000 per Belizean household in the initial stage? Because certainly it will take some time for any community to be developed in the South to accommodate these people. So if it were that the government were to see the wisdom in doing it, the initial move would be to find families that have space in Belize to accommodate Ukrainians who may be coming in and wishing to come to Belize. We've seen, I think, at least one person coming from Ukraine to Belize, and she has expressed great excitement at the prospect of being here. So there may be other like-minded persons in Ukraine who may see Belize as an attractive place to come to. And when that happens, there is the fund from the English government, and there's a number of international funds and donor agencies that are putting up sizable financial compensation to families who are accepting these people in the short term. That's, again, a huge capital injection that would be moving the needle for our economy, and would basically allow for us to really have a reset of our own in Belize, where our economy is concerned. There's another thing to be considered here.
One second. I want to just inform you that Mr. Brian Plummer is in the house, and he, Brian, I would want you to join him, but I'm not sure if he can hear. That's the thing. He's not hearing, so that's the thing. So Arthur, you're just hearing muffles. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna finish up with Arthur in a little while. So just since you're not hearing, and then just give us yeah, I wish you could be a part of it. But if you won't be able to hear, that's okay. We do have another mic in case and then we could try and mic you up. And we'll give you one of the headphones so you can hear what Arthur is saying. So you can join in, because I don't want you to just sit. This show is, with fairness, we will be talking about the debt situation and so forth. So we're going to try and get Mr. Plummer with a... So we can get one of the phones, and we'll just put that. I think that can happen, Marvin. It can happen. Okay, so just go ahead, Arthur, and then we'll make you up, Mr. Plummer. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
What was stated earlier in the budget presentation was that we have a debt to GDP ratio of over 180% or something thereabouts. This move to accommodate 50,000 Ukrainians here could actually erase that and bring us back to economic profit of zero across the board. And it is something I believe the government should seriously consider, because what it would do is to not only increase the population pool, but it would increase the pool of educated and skilled persons within the country to actually make it feasible for greater development to take place within our borders. 60,000 Central Americans don't do much for us. The prospect of China going into Taiwan is very great, given what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. And we know that invariably, should that happen, there'll be a large influx of Taiwanese to Belize. We have had a long-standing relationship with Taiwan, and that would not be a stretch to envision that should there be any kind of hostilities between Taiwan and China, that a large number of Taiwanese would wind up here. That does not do much for us either.
The president of China had publicly committed that by 2025 he plans to take back China. Publicly, I saw a video with him saying that.
Okay.
So that's not theoretical.
Okay.
He made a public pronouncement.
When did he say that?
About a year ago or so.
Okay.
He made that. He didn't put that he will take it. He said he will be reunified.
Okay.
He didn't specify. You understand?
Yes.
I agree.
So publicly, it's not theoretical. Publicly committing.
Yes.
To take it back Taiwan.
Okay. So you see?
And that was before Putin made his move to take to go into Ukraine. So I do believe that the Chinese timeline may be moved up as a result of what's taking place now, and what has been seen as an ineffective response by the West and the NATO allies. So given that, we may be seeing more Taiwanese coming to Belize in the very near future. And that doesn't really do anything for us on the international scene, because there's no great, well, let me put it this way. Taiwan and China are basically the same people. Taiwan, they're Chinese. And there's over 2 billion Chinese in the world. Now, China has basically owned most of America's debt. So there will be no great outpouring of support financially for Taiwanese coming over, because they're not seen to be people in any real need. But certainly the Ukrainians, in their situation, would be treated much differently than the Chinese would. And certainly we need to have some kind of balance to a large influx of Chinese coming in. I do believe the Ukrainians would provide that. So we should really seriously look to make a move to capitalize on the crisis that's there. Some may say that we are being opportunistic. I believe that that's what any country seeking to rationally look at its self-interest should be doing. Belize is in need. We need capital. We need capital over an extended period of time. We need new money. Tax money is not really going to move the needle for us when we are not expanding the tax base. What has been done in terms of simply adjusting and raising taxes, all that it has really accomplished is to force people out of business and to inspire flight of capital. We need to reverse that.
We need a new infusion of funds coming in, and if in fact it's for some reason, in my view, I think a lot of people, they lean in for the majority of people is support for Ukraine. All right, not necessarily on my side. I'm just saying for the majority of people, I personally see the situation that I empathize with the people of Ukraine, greatly in terms of what and I'm no big fan of the President Putin. However, I do see why it is happening. I do see the situation. In my view, I had said it last time, and I had mentioned it to my colleagues that, anybody would do what he's doing. You don't, one thing, and let me say this, if you have a house, and you have a known enemy, in this case, the USA, you have a known enemy, always going to your neighbor's house, taking weapons, stockpiling weapons of mass destruction to right next door to you, right in your backyard, really. And you tell your neighbor, in this case, Ukraine. Hey, Ukraine, please hold it down, man. We already have this agreement. This agreement is from, I don't know, what year was it? 1945? Which year was it? And other agreements were made, with Clinton, and before that it was with President Ronald Reagan and Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev, when Gorbachev was in office. And this agreement was made, but I see you're still allowing, my enemy, in this case, I'm just saying, this is what Russia would be saying, and this is you, though. You're allowing him to bring all these things in my backyard, and then I see you starting to bring all of his friends with all their enemies. You allow all of them in my backyard, all of them, they're right there. How would you go to sleep at night knowing that your known enemy, this enemy who wants to take you down, and all of his friends, all with their weapons, are there? And would you be able to go to sleep at night? Would you be able to go to sleep at night soundly? Or would you're talking to your neighbor doesn't listen, and then your neighbor say, you know what? Yes, I had agreed that I won't pick up weapons out, but you know what? I'm gonna apply for my different weapon too, and I'm gonna bring my weapon too. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna apply for it. That's the way I see it. And fair is fair. You see, I don't like the same when I say give the devil what they due, because I don't think the devil do anything other than something not good. But in this case, that's the way I see things. That's definitely, and you have to put yourself in different people's shoes. I would look at my country's security and try to do whatever it takes to ensure I protect the safety of my country, of my people. You understand? Of my assets, my country's assets. I would ensure I do that. So you have to look at the shoe of Russia as well. As much as you empathize with Ukrainian people, look at why this is happening, and until you look at the history of why all these different pacts, all these different agreements were made, that's the only way you will be objective, that's the only way you will be fair and knowledgeable in terms of what decisions your own country should be making. Go ahead, Arthur.
Right. Well, our countries act in their own rational self-interest, and certainly I do not believe that Putin is without reason.
Yeah.
But again, my interest here is not to debate the merits or demerits of the actions of Russia. I am just simply saying that, listen, Belize has had a very strong humanitarian record. We have been known to open our borders to people who have been fleeing conflict in the past, and we should not now turn our backs on that reputation. There is an opportunity.
We've mainly done it for our regional people, our neighbors, our regional neighbors. Yeah.
Mainly, but that doesn't mean that we should be so exclusively. Certainly, we know that the Ukrainian population is a highly educated one. Many of them, yes, may be Russian speakers, but many of them are also English speakers, so they can assimilate within the country quite easily. And I do believe that their presence here would be along the lines of a greater impact than that of the Mennonite population, who, when they came, were not by and large English speakers, but mainly they spoke mainly a European, or some mix of German and other languages, Eastern European languages. So,
okay. So you wanted to say something?
Yes, Mr. Saldiva, do you think they would want to come here? I think they have their eyes on Europe. I don't think they...
Listen, we don't know if they want or don't want. I'm saying we make the offer. If we make the offer and say that we were willing to accept, we may get some. We already have one.
You hear?
We already have one. So let's say we're willing to take up to 50,000 and 20,000 arrive, or 10,000 arrive. That 10,000 more persons than we've had, and that's still a sizable population to form a
And they do,
community.
of course.
Hold on. When you talk, he's not hearing you because you don't have the Zoom. So you have to let me know and then I'll turn this on, okay? So if you want to say something, go ahead. You can go now because I unmuted, right? Otherwise it's muted. He can't hear you. You fix it. He can hear, so he can. So I don't have to share, Marvin.
I think that
their angle is very innovative. You want to do something, you want to act, and as you say, you want to make lemonade out of a lemon. But I think one of the things I don't think most of them would want to come here. Maybe
Okay, I'm not hearing anything.
they don't see opportunities here. They want opportunities unless they get some sort of opportunity, and that will pass. Right? They won't just come here. Even when those Central American immigrants come here, the UN set up some sort of program and some sort of schooling and farming, and they get funded. The UN fund those villages in Belmopan, Salvapan, and those are there are more people who are familiar with us. I think the strangeness of us, we will have to do. I think that the people of Europe seem to be more in tune with that due to they have a common history, a common culture, a common, just like we do with our Central American brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm.
And what she was saying was difficult for her
when she first came here, but now I think she's working and all that and so forth. But
if it wasn't married, she wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah, and but I mean these things can happen because I had one of my friends, he was Russian and he had come to Belize and he got used to it. I mean, so I think it can happen though. With fairness, it can happen, but to say that they would be looking to come to Belize, and that's a different story. First of all, some of these
they have to sweeten the pie too much.
They like their iced tea and all that, and even they go to holidays in the Alps and these things, and so Belize would have for something different. Yeah. You understand? So you are correct with that, but. Failing that, I think we can definitely still, it is definitely an option, and it is an option that we can look at. So it's something that the government definitely, Arthur, is it something that you guys will be trying to put forth to the government, you and your. Because it is if in fact they haven't already been thinking about it, it is something for them to look at.
I would hope that they would be thinking about it. But to answer the question that Mr. Plummer posed,
if we go that way, I would lobby for what we did in the States. You attract the when America took in the immigrants from Germany, it was scientists, it was creme de la creme.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, and they didn't take the street immigrants, the street vagabonds from Germany when the war finished. They took the best and the brightest. So there has to be a weeding out, especially if we're taking in people, that we try and get some of the best people in terms of education and experience, because maybe what they were doing in Ukraine. And once you try and get some of the best people, then you'll be able to sweeten the pie because they have skill and they can contribute and they have a marketable value.
And it's a fun.
You said that is the ideal.
I view that as the ideal. However, there would have to be a mix because I don't know if they, the ideal would be, yes, you bring in all the skilled But some of those skills will probably want to go north, for example. They want to go to England and different parts of Europe. It's so I'm just letting you know.
Is that England and others other countries have had heavy influx of
Listen, are you hearing Arthur?
Right? In particular, in the United Kingdom, France, and even Greece have seen a heavy influx of immigrants coming from Syria and other countries over the past decade. So they have had some reservation in opening their borders to Ukrainians. In fact, as I mentioned, more than 13,000 Ukrainians applied to enter the United Kingdom, only 50 were granted access.
Yes.
So England is actively marketing to other countries for them to accept Ukrainians. So I do believe if Belize made the offer, it would then be upon those European countries who want to divert the immigration situation away from themselves to then seek to convince those responsible for organizing the Ukrainians fleeing the conflict to give Belize a try, even if on a temporary basis, as has been done in Mexico. The Mexicans have allowed them to come. As I said, over 20,000 entered Mexico through Cancun. Many of them have bad cars and left to go to the United States, where they are granted asylum there as well. So, hey, if they want to venture north after coming to Belize, all power to them. It's the same that have happened with Chinese people who came. Many Chinese have come to Belize and shortly thereafter made their way north and have gone into the United States. That's not our concern, but certainly once they come, we could benefit from the influx of capital that comes with them. So I don't see that as a negative. It is worth the try. Put it out there, see what happens. If we get a fraction, we still get something. Something is better than nothing.
Well, I agree with you. I think definitely we have opened our doors to other people. As I had mentioned in the show last time, in 1993, when I had gone to do my bachelor's degree in Washington, I had friends from Bosnia and Serbia who were fleeing the then war, and they became my best friends. And we did everything together. We hung out together. I mean, up to now. And I just want to say that I understand what they went through. They went through that war. That was an ethnic war, and it's something that is real. These people lost families. They lost their homes. They lost their livelihoods. It is really fled, and they were, of course, from Europe. And, they were, in my view, they were very, very nice people. We got along very well. And, of course, I was in the U.S., so it was from Europe to the U.S., you know what I'm saying? So there's a difference there. But from Europe to Belize, I think Belize, it would be different. But Belize is, it is a tropical paradise. So in terms of some of them looking at it as, oh wow, it's a tropical paradise, because I've managed to go, like I told you, and I've managed to be on every continent other than Antarctica. I've managed to meet people from all over the world. In their country, Europeans as well, and I will tell you that they love Belize. When they hear about Belize, they think Belize, and of course, those who may not know too much about Belize, and I tell them what Belize is about. I would show them photos. They were just in awe of Belize. They were in awe.
If just putting the idea out there elevates the profile of the country in Europe, it may allow for more persons in Europe who may not have heard of Belize to consider Belize as a place to come to visit and find out what we're about. Belize has a lot to offer. We have had a history of stability in terms of our governance. We have relative internal peace. We have large swaths of the country that have very low crime. Now, certain areas have had elevations and spikes in crime, and I won't call it crime wave, but it's beyond a wave in terms of certain areas. But by and large, the country is peaceful and filled with resources that persons from industrialized countries can come and readily utilize.
Murder rate is not random murder. It's usually people who involved in the underworld.
By that happening, we invariably benefit because we need more than grocery stores and chicken joints in Belize, and we need people who can do more than that. And I certainly believe that you.
Listen, Arthur. The U.S. for a while, they have, for example, they have different visas, different category of visas. So they have well, with this new administration, initially it was like open border, but they have really cracked down on things right now. They seem to have wanted open border, but with what we're seeing is a little different. They're buckling up.
Election.
Yeah. Because the American people don't really want that. Like not all, at least, And so it's they're trying to balance it out. But what I want to tell you is that as some of us know, the visa situation. So the U.S. now, we know fully well that the U.S. have this whereby they have special visas for the skilled, for us professionals. And even for us who have studied in the U.S., I think they have, for those who study, have at least 1 degree in the U.S. You are in a special category. And then for us who have 2 degrees from the U.S., you're in a category whereby they have visas set aside for people like myself who have 2 degrees from the US. And now these people now come in, those people that you're talking about now, if they have those kinds of degrees coming to Belize, I definitely really feel just like what the US does, opening, the US have a special visa program. And numbers of visas set aside for persons like myself. The same way we could do for these people that you're talking about. Because you are correct, Belize is a developing country. We cannot just have persons who, they're unskilled in some cases, or maybe they bring nothing, like literally nothing, like no money, nothing. And they come to Belize, and it is a burden, it is a strain on the economy, on the scarce resources. They go to our schools, they get our medical, use our medical facilities. Some people will say they get the jobs, or but that's, depending on how you look at it, the little fast food joints, predominantly them. So Belizeans, some people would say some Belizeans have become marginalized, right? Some Belizeans, Banagro Belizeans, have become marginalized. Now, if we could get a mix of that so that you'll have additional persons, an additional amount of influx of not only refugees, but influx of funds, whether or not it's the United Nations, through United UNHCR, coming in and giving the government certain funds to help relocate these individuals. And those individuals having skills, helping to develop new factories, new technology, new companies. You understand what I'm saying? Really help develop Belize alongside, us who are already skilled. You know what I'm saying? And helping to bring more opportunity to our Belizeans who need that support. You understand? Because we are the ones who have to try and always be helping and trying to bring along and help as best we can those Belizeans who may not be, well skilled or may not really see themselves as, having certain opportunities. So I fully support what you're saying, and I hope that it will happen, Arthur. But we want to move ahead now. So, Mr. Plummer, you ready? We were going to discuss about, so Arthur, you're an economist like myself. And so I think Arthur, if Arthur can stay on, that would be wonderful and interject. Hopefully, Arthur, you can hear what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, Leave us here? Okay, so what we were going to discuss as well is the money situation.
Correct. Globally and locally. What I've observed is that we have an unprecedented amount.
Hold on, Mr. Plummer. With fairness, I have to properly introduce Mr. Plummer. Mr. Brian Plummer, no stranger to the show. He has been on already. He is an educator. You have been an educator for how many years?
29 years.
29 years. Wow, that's a long.
She said it'll be 29.
Okay, all right. And he has done manuals in
Physics, chemistry.
So he's, and then you teach math
and science.
Math and science. And so he is someone, he has also authored different articles in different Caribbean newspapers, and of course the Mandala, including the Jamaica Gleaner and some of the others. Trinidad Express,
Bahamas, Tribune.
Yes, and so I've managed to really speak with Mr. Plummer, and of course he has checked CXCs and so forth, and I must say that I enjoy discussing with him because he's an extremely intelligent person. I like talking to intelligent people. So I like to discuss and hear what others have to say. And so with that said, we have, just like what we did, we learned with Arthur, because Arthur is one of those other brilliant minds that Belize has. And so, Mr. Plummer, go right ahead.
All right. What we have noticed, everybody, is that something is not right. Everybody noticed that. The COVID is just one part of it. But what is the root cause of this social upheaval? The global order, the Ukraine war, everything is related. It's unprecedented. Global debt is about 342%. The US, which holds the world reserve currency, and we spend a lot of time in the US because it holds, has over $30 trillion in debt. It's about 129% of GDP. We in Belize also has a similar percentage to GDP as US. We have about 128 the last time I checked. 128 of GDP. Very similar. Now, one of the things is that when you look at history, all the social changes were caused by debt. For example, the French Revolution. France people borrowed a lot of money they couldn't pay, and brought hardship and so on. People rebelled, long and short. The American Revolution, again, the debt, the tax they owed to King James, charged with it's always about debt. Right? When the Russian Revolution, again, hardship due to debt, it's always about debt. That's what I observed. So now, when we see, I come to the premise that COVID, the Ukraine war, and everything that's happening is conjoined a part of dealing with the debt situation. The US was in recession from February 2020 officially. And so whether they had COVID or not have COVID, they would have had a recession. Because COVID really came in earnest in March, in this part of the world. It really picked up in March. So pre-COVID, including Belize and America, around March it really hit. So obviously COVID did not cause the economic hardship. it was a good cover for it, because you could say it's COVID that caused it, and you could print and everybody understand. Like we didn't believe print $150 million, right? Excess through the central bank, which is alarming. 80% of the money, the US dollar in existence, from January 2020 to now, 80% was printed, was created. Over $20 trillion was created from January until now. From January, it's about 21 trillion the last time I checked. US dollars was created just from January 2020. That's never has happened before in the history of the United States. Never. Not for World War I, not for World War II. They did not print so much money. This is unprecedented. So obviously, it's not COVID is not the cause of it. It's their structural problem.
How much is what? 80% of the actual money
that they have in US dollars throughout the world.
About how much trillion? 18 trillion?
No, 20 trillion, they printed 20.0. They have, right, 20.80. There's about roughly about reserves. They're monetizing the debt.
Yes.
They're buying their own debt, but they do it through where they let the banks buy it and they buy back the banks. They buy it from the bank. They don't buy it directly.
Yes.
So this has never happened. US had no problem sending the debt to people. No problem, you understand?
Yes.
US debt is seen as a safe haven.
Yes.
For most people.
That's right.
But now they're buying their own debt.
Yes.
They own about 20% of their own debt.
Yes.
And so that is telling us that.
But not only that, what is happening now with China proposing and going along with Saudi Arabia and Russia to say that because you know the petrodollar, that the China would be able to pay for oil in their own currency to both Saudi Arabia and to Russia. Now people, that's a big deal. Huge. You have to understand what the dollar means, and the fact that when they started to use the dollar, it was known as the petrodollar. And when Nixon, 1971 actually, that's when Nixon start discussing, and then afterwards, correct, yes. Yeah, but go ahead.
What happened is this. So you have to notice that obviously life is not the same in any country in the world.
Yes,
whether
yes.
you live in Antarctica, I think is affected as far as there, where there's only a few people less than us. No matter if you live in Russia, China, the whole global economy is in a mess.
Okay.
And so it's because in 1944 we had what we call the Bretton Woods Agreement, when the US dollar officially came to the world. but it was backed by gold, right? But on August 15, 1971, the U.S. actually came off of the gold. It actually defaulted on its debt.
Yes.
Because it promised people you could exchange their debt for gold. And they said, no gold.
Yeah. Because of the war too. They were the one financing the war. All the time when the U.S. have to finance the war, they had to pay. And when they had to be using the gold, and they had to use up their gold reserve, that became a problem. And that's why
they came off
it so that they could start to print. I mean, that was not part of the agreement. That was not a part of the Bretton Woods agreement. However, that's what they started to do. I mean, come on now, you can do it. So why not do it? That was their view, and they did.
Yes, and then the next thing when you look at history, don't want to go people history, but history teach you what's going to happen, because human beings don't change. We still love. We might have any kind of life, but we still love, we still hate, we still get jealous. The same thing, people have, human beings essentially haven't changed. It's just decorations.
Yes.
And throughout history, the country that has the most global trade becomes the ruler of the world. It doesn't matter when. That's why the US became the ruler of the world. They were like China, they were the factory of the world.
The only thing is now, listen to these people. And what he said is correct, but listen to what is happening now. Now, when we look at the oil, the gas, what is happening now is that before the U.S. used to buy the majority of the gas from, for example, Russia, from Saudi Arabia, now it is China who is buying the majority of the oil from Russia and, of course, Saudi Arabia. So if it is China, of course, the U.S. for one point, they were starting to get, energy independent with fairness, under President Donald Trump. Under him, through fucking, it was under President Donald Trump that he was pushing to ensure that they could become energy independent. And they achieved that. Now, so that's good for the Americans. However, Saudi Arabia had seen that and said, hey boy, yeah man, and you're not buying as much as you used to. You see?
What people don't understand, just like in Belize, you have certain businesses support certain parties. In America, the oil people are usually Republicans. So when the Republicans are in, they get greater support. And the Democrats, they are the tech people, Google. It's so crazy.
I mean, especially in Texas, and come on, you have to know where we're talking about. Texas.
The Democrats,
it is a Republican state.
That's why you see they going green.
Yeah.
It's just like in the Belize, how politics is always going.
Which is, with fairness, is my view. You might not like fossil fuels. You might not want to go and continue using oil and things like that. However, you can what is happening? Go ahead.
They have an international system where you wire money both of them. It's called SWIFT. It's called a consortium that with the US dollar. Now what happened is that they boot Russia off the SWIFT
Yes.
And the Chinese do $70 trillion daily. Give or take, it's not exact, it's the average.
Yes.
So what has happened is that there's becoming a parallel system.
Yep.
Even we have 40% of the world supporting Russia directly, which is China, Russia, and even India. I was surprised when India, they have made public statement that they are creating an alternative financial system so they could still deal with Russia.
Did you also see that Israel is, is kind of leading? Look at the talks with Israel as well.
Let me tell you why. There's no way. Let me tell you why. There's no way
Belarus
could beat Russia, China, and those countries.
India.
Combined.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
The U.S. it doesn't produce anything again. These those people. Imagine if China stopped selling things to the U.S. They can't buy the cheap clothes. Walmart will be closed.
Yeah.
Remember when they were crying for PPE when COVID? They couldn't produce their own.
Yeah, it's
so
China.
Obviously, they have no production capacity.
Yeah.
They depend. They don't.
Even when, because they are automakers, you understand, with fairness, automobile has always been, one of their mainstays for so long, since Ford. But exactly, and with that, a lot of the parts for the vehicle actually come in from abroad. So
the human capital they don't have. See, just as a teacher, I have experience and knowledge that I can get in a classroom. People who are actually doing a job, they surpass university education because university prepare you for the world of work, and when you get there, you learn a little more. So the US don't have the experience of factory. They don't have much factory workers.
One second. Is the audio? You guys hearing the audio? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead. Okay, all right, go ahead.
The long and short of the story is that there is a new world order coming. That is why you have Schwab and those people from the world talking about a great reset. This is not new. I read history. Most people don't know the French Revolution was a reset. The Jacobins talk about a reset. They changed the calendar. That's why we have the metric system. They wanted to get rid of all religious things. The metric system is to move the world scientific. This is what these guys are trying to. They're carrying step 2.
Yeah. Let me just interject though, because I always try to ensure that I bring in our viewers. First of all, good night, Nancy. Good night, my friend. Good night, Keenan Flores. Good night, Anthony Bennett. Good night, my friend. All right, so what Gonzalo was saying, but I don't think somebody agreed with him. Gonzalo was saying history has proven that whenever and wherever white people show up in mass, they don't, I don't know if actually, they don't want to leave and eventually takes over control. So we should not open that door. We will end up losing far more than we gain. All right, that's what Gonzalo said. And then Terry, good night. Terry Chinchilla, good night. Nancy agreed. Gonzalo said no one had sympathy for the women and children of the Donbass area of Ukraine when the Ukrainian government was shelling and killing them by the thousands. But because the US puppet Zelensky was doing it, the world didn't care. So Zelensky was the one dealing and shelling, killing these people in Ukraine, but these people were closer to Russia. They speak Russian, they're more aligned, they more see themselves as Russians. And then Nancy DePaul says, right sis, people need to wake up and know what's happening, that's right. Rachel, thank you about the no volume, my friend. Then Judah Booth said, and this is just a reference about the white people. Wow, that comment, is ignorant and prejudiced on so many levels. With that attitude, this country will never grow or prosper. And then Gonzalo said, of course you would say that. White folks don't like to hear the truth, even if it's proven history. I'm going to speak on that right now. Of course, yeah. So, Judah, the truth, according to whom? Love you anyways, bro. Let me just say this, though, that, you know, this country is made up of people of all nationalities, of all color. As a matter of fact, a lot of us are mixed. All right? A lot of us are mixed. As a matter of fact, Gonzalo, with fairness, Ishmael Heredia, just your name alone, it tells me that your ancestors are also from Spain. My father's people were from Spain. And with fairness, Spain is a part of Europe. Okay? Spain is a part of Europe. And as a matter of fact, when you go there, they see themselves, they are considered white. They are considered Caucasian. So technically, that's why when you hear about Creole, of which I am a Creole, you hear Creole are mixed with, and you hear black, you know, Creole, you know, black, European, white. You understand? So you're mixed. So with fairness, we are mixed. A lot of us already have, I'm not sure. Yeah, European, you already hear Europe. A lot of us already have European in us. We also have white in us. While we are now brown because we're mixed, we still have European in us. And I can tell you that because on my father's side, you know, they're primarily European in the sense, I'm just telling you. So I'm just saying in terms of, and my father never left. His people came from Spain. You know, they came from Spain, they journeyed, boo, 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 boo. They never left. You are correct, they never left, but I am an offspring of that as well. You know, yes, I may be brown now, and you know, because I'm mixed, but you are correct, they never left. And I think people, you know, I think I'm okay with Belize. You know what I'm saying? I love Belize. And if you look at the country, you see a lot of people are mixed as well. You know? So I just want to tell you that nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, nothing is wrong with us living together in harmony. Now, I do have an issue with the fact that if they would come here and not, you know, not interact and assimilate with the people, if that is what would happen, then that's where I see it could be problematic. You know, if they, I mean, right now, you know, I have a lot of friends who are Mennonites, a lot of friends. They have their community, but with fairness to them, there's some who may not assimilate that much, but a lot of them assimilate very well. And I can tell you because,
I think
you know,
not assimilated isn't just racial, I think it's
cultural, yeah, their way of life, their food, what they do, they hang out, you know. Religious. You know, they farm or they
think we are living the devil's world.
Yeah, some of them are Puritans as well.
They're not into technology and that type of thing.
Yeah, so it's different reasons.
The way of God.
Yeah.
A lot of it is religious.
A lot of it is religious. So I just wanted to put that in there since with our chat, you know, we have persons of different, you know, views, and that is fine. That is lovely. That's what we need. You understand?
And one of the things is that just to chime in on the race thing, there's only one race, the human race. There's no, this race thing is a social construct. And you could look it up. In 1995, Stanford University had over 100 top geneticists and anthropologists proved that there is no race. They took genetic things from a white man, black man, and they found some white people had more similar genetics with other black people.
Yeah?
That it was,
we're mixed like rice and beans.
And they found out that there is no race, it's a social construct.
Yes.
That's a social construct. There's no California Creole. If you step out of Belize and you say you have California Creole, that is nonsense to the people in America.
Yeah.
That has
no be. You understand? As a matter of fact, as a matter of fact,
because we created that.
Because we created.
And even you guys know fully well that when but hold on, when we go abroad, and a lot of us, we can attest to it, when we go abroad, unless we open our mouth, they think we are, for example, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, yes, Mexican and all these things, you understand? So
people talk Spanish to me all the time.
Yes, yes, so
automatically they see me and I don't see myself as that, they see me.
Exactly. So it's just it's social, exactly what you're saying. But I want us to go. You spoke about cryptocurrency, and a lot of our people do not understand what is cryptocurrency.
They have this central bank called the International Bank, right? The Bank of International Settlement. This. They propose in a paper that I read that the world should move towards digital currency because it's easier to transact.
Yes.
So if you look throughout the world, whether it's Jamaica, in fact, Bahamas have a digital currency called the SAN, Barbados, Belize, everywhere is going digital. The US put forward the paper. The whole global world are going to go into a digital currency. It's like a COVID thing, you know, everybody will wear the mask. It's lockstep. They have decided that the world will move towards a digital currency and a digital ID. You'll find in Belize, after the digital currency, they will digitize our social security card and simplify it. Okay. To make you understand, they are digitize the COVID vaccine certificate. Yes. So that it can be easy, the information can be accessible on a network and you can control it. Yes. Right? Yes. The Central Bank of England said, I read an article that the advantage of digital currency is it gives government more control.
And now BTL will be, or they've already rolled out their
the 22nd,
the Digi wallet.
They did what they call a beta test.
Okay.
Where you do a large scale testing.
Yes.
They call it beta testing.
Beta testing.
Yeah. But they're going to official launch it 22nd. Yeah. They did a beta testing. There are people who are using it, but it's going to be official.
What's your thoughts on that?
I personally think that one is dangerous because you have little control over it. It has to be centralized. They could cut it off and they know too much about you. It's like using a credit card. Worse. Yeah, when you use a credit card, if you ever use one, you have the date, the time, and when you buy, everything on it. Yeah. Man, maybe you buy something where you want people to buy. Right? Yes. But it's public knowledge kind of people see it. So, one, privacy is history. One is the digital currency. They know exactly what you buy and what they're doing, who you're buying from, and so on. Yes. Two, they can cut it off anytime they want. Right? For whatever reason, now, just the example is what happened in Canada. They cut off those people money. That's going to happen if you do something that the government doesn't like. The
GoFundMe money, remember, recently with the Canadian Freedom Truckers.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous, and I think we should not fully participate. Keep out as long as you could.
Or not put all your money in one basket.
It's nothing wrong with it as a supplemental.
Digital wallet solely, you know. Yes.
But something is wrong with it.
Only that.
When people control it, because the people are flawed. Yeah. And Belize, America, Belize is a small community. Yes. Where everybody knows everybody else, and we affect each other greatly. Yes. So it will be worse for Belize because if I say something, it will affect the government in Belize. I make a public pronouncement. Yes. Because we are a small community. But if I say something in America, it wouldn't affect the government. Yeah. None at all. Yes. So there's more crucial, it's more important here. Yes, yes. Because of our small population. So that's one. Then two, these people that the so-called global elite, they have a plan. Yes. They want to have, they say,
Yeah.
They probably, you could go out.
It's a video. They actually put it out.
Yeah. And so this is our part of it. Remember, if you have a money on the phone, that's not your money, that's it, right? Any money that you don't possess in your hand, there was a 1884 case in England, Hill versus some group, that said that the banks, once you put your money in the bank, you don't own it, you become a creditor. The banks own the money. And remember, creditors, they could default. They don't have to pay it back, and they have done it many, many times when banks fail.
Yes.
So once they have it on digital, that's not your money. You're renting it, so to speak, or you are using their money. When you have it in your hand, it's for you. But if you put your money in the bank, sorry to tell you that, it's not yours.
Yes.
It's the bank's. It's there, there's a case. Look up the 1850 14 case of Hill versus something from England. There's that. So that means you will own nothing. They own it. You will use their currency. Right?
Yes.
1, 2. And why I have because I'm into science, I know the limit of science. And they want to build a scientific world because they don't want people to care about each other. When people care about each other, like if I care about you, I won't let the government do anything to you and not say something and not protest about it. But when I don't care about you, doesn't matter what they do to you, to me, I can give a deal.
Yes.
So when they move to scientific, they mean that world without caring. That's why the COVID is the social distancing.
Yes.
They want us to separate and fair for each other. And it's just a control mechanism. It's just a way they know. I don't care which government, whether it's the Belize government, the US government, the people that run the government are few.
Yes.
We are many. They cannot control us. There are only, even if you take the police and be there, there's only about 4,000 of them total. And there's 440,000 Belize there.
Yes.
The maths don't add up. They cannot control us.
Yes.
Right? It's only fair.
And their weaponry.
Yes. And even that won't work because when you have to turn weapons on the people, you will lose. Let me tell you why. I look at history. When it happened in Egypt, the person had to leave. When it happened in Yugoslavia, anyway you do that, eventually you see, because government is by consent. What most people don't tell you, and the liars don't tell you, is that even when you get arrested and they ask you if you understand, and this is your name, you have to consent to it. If you say my name is not Brian Plummer,
yes,
and that's not me, you know they can't arrest you, and you don't sign to your name, they have to put you in Rockville or some mental asylum. You have to literally agree.
Yeah.
Literally. All law is by consent. They cannot force you, but people don't know it's by consent.
So what will happen with the future though? Because
the future is this.
Yes.
Everything will be automated. That's what I want. Now, that I think more or less will happen, but just like I wrote an article many years ago that the Industrial Revolution didn't have to go down like that. The benefit of the Industrial Revolution wasn't for the masses, it was for the factory owners.
Yeah.
Because of the Industrial Revolution, they could have cut working hours, they could have increased pay, but they took the profit and did not do that.
Yeah.
So what we have to happen is that nothing is wrong with what they're doing. But we have to direct so that the benefits come to the masses. And how that will happen? Simply, one, don't cooperate unless they do what you want. Two, and have a plan. Okay. Don't let nobody fool you. The most important thing to a human being is food.
is fiction, it's a narrative. Food is what's important. Part of the Industrial Revolution was to move people away from farm. That's why Bill Gates buy all the farmland. They want everybody urbanized.
Yes.
Because then government control it. But if I could feed myself, which government could control me?
Yeah.
The feeding of yourself is the most important way to fight.
Yes.
We have to be able. Why do you think the Belize government can push around the Mennonite community?
Yeah.
When they want to do the mass mandate and the mandatory vaccine.
We need their food.
Why didn't they do that, make a rule for the Mennonite?
Yeah.
Why? Ask yourself that.
Yeah, I mean, these people are the main people who are feeding us. I mean, what would we do? Even if we said, okay, even if the government said, well, you know what, we're going to deal with you guys, and it takes a while for crops to start to be planted, to grow, to harvest, exactly. So that wouldn't have been possible either.
So don't let anybody fool you. Food is the most important thing.
And that's why countries for a long time, one of the main things that they fought to ensure for their country was food security. Food security has always been at the top of their list. And when a country, start to wean away from that and not ensure food security, puts itself in a very precarious situation. And I think that even in Belize, you might say, okay, we have a lot of farmland and you see things being farmed, but are we truly, do we have food security? No.
Central American immigrants.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things that we do plant, we do export with fairness. So when we have our orange juice, our bananas, our sugar, those are our main or traditional crop. Those are the ones that have the bigger markets. They're exported. Even cooperatives, for example, when it comes to lobster and so forth, those also are exported as well. So, we do have here as well, but I'm just telling you some of the more known traditional crops, commodities, those are exported. But the others, we import. Come on, go and look at the grocery store and see how much of those things are grown stuff, are manufactured here. As a matter of fact, I saw one of my friends recently. He said, he's competing against products from Grace Kennedy. Yeah. So this person, Mr. Harrison, said, well, come on, look at this. This, I think Grace Kennedy has been around, I'm not even sure how long.
1920s or something.
Yeah, like long time, like over, 50 years or more, I don't know, a long time. So they have to be competing against such an entity. So he's saying, come on, look at this. So it is real. We know how to move.
They have massive support at the government.
Yeah, they have. They do have, and that's what helped them out initially. Yeah, exactly. And so now when it comes to food security that you're talking about, it would have to be, and you didn't say the word security, I'm putting the word security, it would have to be something whereby it's the policies. And yes, I do see with fairness the Ministry of Agriculture, Hosemai, stepping up and trying to open up the doors more so of Mexico, I believe Guatemala, I think, was it El Salvador? I'm not sure, but I do know he's trying to delve in and more, to our neighbors in the north, and and I must say, and our Central American neighbors, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
But what they need to do in that is that the financial infrastructure isn't backing it. Like, for example, if you go for a loan at DFC and you tell them farming, they won't help you for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
If you go for a loan at Belize Bank or Heritage, so the financial infrastructure has to be put in place.
Yes.
Where, you see, in business, Google started from the 1990s, it didn't make a profession after 2000, after government helped it out with some contracts and
Yes.
so on. Most businesses fail.
Yeah, because they put in protection to
Most
them, protectionist policies, and that's what helped them. But when you're supposed to be liberalization, and that has helped globally bigger corporations and so forth. That's what globalization has done. And so when you're liberalizing, trade and all these policies and all these tariffs and all these everything, it's the bigger ones that get affected. And while we will say that, there are always niche markets, and there are niche markets that you can try to get into, but to a great extent, it usually benefits the larger corporations and entities.
I notice a trend. What these first world countries told us is that they create a niche market, and then after a while, they will take over the niche market too. For example, offshore banking, they told us to go into. They actually encourage us to. Then all of a sudden, they take it away. They told us to go into those things, It was a policy decision.
In what?
In offshore banking.
Okay, yes.
That was an initiative from them.
Yes.
They encouraged us.
Yeah.
And now they told us, no, there was bad money laundering.
Yes.
So they will give us a niche market for a while.
Yeah.
But eventually they want to take that over too.
Yes.
Because everything, globalization really means centralization.
Mm-hmm.
That it will be centralized by the global elites. When you look at the WHO since COVID just finished winding down, it's dying down. The WHO is mostly controlled by pharmaceuticals and corporations. In fact, Bill Gates is the largest donor after the United States.
Yeah.
So, what you have to understand, when you hear the WHO, when you hear the CDC, or the FDA, the some government.
Yeah.
When you hear the Federal Reserve, the some government.
Yes.
But they are funding, 80% of the funding of the FDA comes from pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
So they are not government. They are actually private.
Well, public-private partnership, really. PPP.
And it's not dominated by government. It's dominated. The government gives the stamp of approval if you find it acceptable. So when you hear the United Nations, don't think this internet, think big business interest.
Yeah, because listen, you bring up something very well. For a great extent, people would think of the United Nations as primarily those countries and the government. But really, when you look into it, indeed, and I had that on the show, it's big business that these individuals are the ones who finance to a great extent these things. No, government do some financing. Come on now. But certain of these platforms, and you did say, like the World Health Organization is financed predominantly. And then you have Bill Gates. Good night, Adolfo. Carlos Garcia, my friend, good night. He said good night to the guests as well. And another great show. Once again, thanks for bringing good awareness for the ones that need it, like me. Yes, especially good night, Adolfo. Yeah. And
one of the things we need to understand now, the next step is that they want to digitize money. They want to have central control.
Yes.
Right? This COVID thing is an experiment to see how far we will stand authoritarian government. I was blown when government told me I can't go at 7 o'clock. I can't go. I said, well, something wrong with this part. In fact, it would make sense that we can't go out in the day because there's less traffic at night. And then it makes sense you don't lock down on a Sunday because people barely move on a Sunday in the day.
Yeah.
You lock down on a busy day like Friday.
Yeah.
So I said, this is logical.
Yeah.
It doesn't make, why would you lock down on the day that's the least?
Yeah. You go to church on Sunday. You go to church. That's what you. Well, not everybody, but you go to church. Maybe
the traffic is
light. Everybody knows. Like, nobody is influxing into the city to go work or living out.
hamper the spread of the so-called COVID in which way.
It was foolish, but what they were saying, you go to people's house, family's house, and you would
congregate. It's a test, in my opinion, to see how far it's like I like you, I'll rub your hand, see how you respond, I will see how far I could go. This COVID thing to me was a test to see how far they can go.
Yes.
In total control of the human being.
Yeah.
You didn't own your body, the government owned it, and you have to take a vaccine card and tell it. It's a test.
Yes.
This has never happened in my lifetime. Never.
Yes.
Right? So you have to know that they are testing because they want to have total control of us.
Yes.
And they will continue to push in that direction. Everything they do is to push in that direction. They have control,
and
they will own everything, we will own nothing. That is their plan. They said it, it's not me who said it. We have to understand, like I tell you, the main, I'm putting this out there, the main thing you have to know is that you could feed yourself and your family. Now, my advice is this. In Nigeria, I have a lot of Nigerian friends.
Yes.
Even teachers, because the pay is so small, have a small home garden.
Yes.
And public officers. So you need to start to plan something, even if it's not a lot in your
Fully agree. I always push that. Yes. I always push
it. Farmland, I know we want to live in the city myself. I'm a city guy, like bang, right? But at some point, you need to have food.
Yes.
Because the food. Russia, for example, these people are planning this.
Yeah.
Russia is part of the scheme. It's like to show you.
And Russia is one of the, and Ukraine, with fairness, are like the breadbasket of Europe.
Yes. Let me explain something to you. The way the world works, just like our UDP and PUP are both heavily influenced by Michael Ashcroft, they are not competing, none at all. It's a flow show. They work for the same boss. The boss said, if you don't like this one, you give this one. And when you give it to this one, the boss will give you the next one. The same thing that's happening in the global arena. Both the president of Russia and the other world leaders are controlled by the World Economic Forum, or influenced by the World Economic Forum. And their plan is to justify, just like with COVID, that we are going to have to suffer and we are going to have to pay a high price. That is coming because Russia is the number one in 2020 supplier of fertilizer. Russia, next to Saudi Arabia, is the number two. After Saudi Arabia, number two supplier of oil. Russia is the fifth exporter of lumber. It is the breadbasket of the world. Wheat, yes. And about 30% of the world wheat between Russia and Ukraine is produced. So obviously, no matter tell you, don't forget what I tell you. If you didn't learn anything from this, if you didn't get anything, is that food is what you need. I don't need even clothes. I could live without that, but I need food. So they understand that food prices will go up by Christmas. I'm not talking go up by what you see now. Food prices in the last case will almost double by Christmas.
Yeah, that's what it said. By double.
Yes. So you know that. You know what you have to face, right? You know why they're doing it. It's all about control. If I am this, when I use COVID as an example, when the government, our government did it, I'll show the world, they have to see this. When our government said the tacos, they can't sell tacos for like 3 weeks or a month or that. And I could go into 88 or go, these are those big stores where it's more dangerous than in the open air with the tacos. I said, this is not about health. This is about making people dependent on government, because those are independent business people and their business will go in. And that them will have to get pantry and so on. So I realized that it isn't about health, because it's there are less people on the taco stand than in Blue Ridge. So if it was about health, you wouldn't be able to go into Blue Ridge. Yeah. That's a day 88 and close supermarket based clusters and 100 other people in there. Yes. It was about gaining control, destroying. The future is that they talk about university. In fact, I'm not talking conspiracy theory. Spain, during COVID, created universal basic income. Yes. Where people will get money every month from the government. That's where they want to take it.
And that is the whole purpose as to why the US dollar, is in a predicament, because they went ahead and they printed $20 trillion, 2020, 2021, and now they're still doing it. But in 2 years, and they did it primarily also to ensure that they can give money to their citizens so that they can stay at home, be dependent, be controlled, be locked up in their homes, and they did it so that the people wouldn't cry and rebel. So that's what they did, and in the process, so you have a lot of controlled people now. People say, they're sheep. So you have a lot of sheep, and some of them still don't want to come out. I had particular friends who, they were happy. They didn't even want to go to work. They were so happy with their money, and they were so happy, And now it's not easy, because now they also have their debt now that they still have to pay now, and things have added up. So when they felt that, it was good not paying then, now they come back now and they are struggling. They are actually struggling. So for us to leave ourselves open and ever fall into a situation whereby, we become dependent on government.
That's the future.
We cannot allow that, and I've always said it, and I'm glad you brought it up. Food security, the planting, ensuring that you're self-sufficient goes a long way, and I've said it over and over. You have your backyard, you have pots, pans, buckets. You start to ensure you do your planting, because every day, my gosh, it's like when you put a crab in water, and you put that crab in water, and it's cold water, and you turn on the stove, and slowly you turn on, and the water starts to get wet, hot, and warm, and then hot, and then afterwards the poor crab can't jump out. The poor crab dies. That is what is happening to the masses of us. That is what is happening to a lot of us. I'm not saying myself, but I'm just saying to a lot of us it is happening, that we are put in a situation whereby they have instituted all these controls on us, and some people were so happy with their, with the little money that they got every 2 weeks from government. My gosh, they were in tools, they didn't have to work on the pantry, and they became so independent. But imagine they put you, it's like you're like this crab, and so you feel all comfortable and you feel all happy, but afterwards, when the heat goes up, you will suffer. You will suffer, and you will not be able to survive, because it will be survival of the fittest, survival of the smartest as well, survival of the wisest, survival of those people who will prepare, and those of you who may be lazy. And I will say this outright, you're lazy. Some of you who may be lazy and don't want to put in the effort, for example, to ensure that, you become, you have your little backyard garden and so forth, and you won't be able to afford food, then you will fall into big problems.
That's going to happen because U.S. official, I have to bring up a point with the U.S. too, that most people don't know, is that they changed the way they measured inflation. About 25% of the U.S. inflation is rent.
Yes.
And what they did to make it less, they have a thing called owner's equivalent rent. and you use real rent. Owner equivalent rent is like up 5%, give or take. Real rent is up like 20%. And so they use that data. When I looked at what inflation would be if they use what they use in the 70s, the system, it would be around 20-something percent.
For craft, what is being said right now? 7.9%.
What is the way? Because I'm
yeah. No, but Brian, it's just like when they do the labor survey in Belize. You understand? They will include people who only have worked for 1 month. And those people are considered employed. You understand? So, for 1 month. I mean, come on now. So all the rest of years you're there struggling, you're depending on somebody, but then you are still considered employed.
So,
you know, I think those things are records.
If they had used the inflation rate, the way they calculated it in the 70s and early 80s, they changed it in the 80s. Inflation will be much higher, but they change it. They change the way to trick you.
Yes, they change it.
So one, inflation is really bad and it's going to get worse. And like I tell you, to me, I'm not worried, I'm not panicking. I think this is a good thing because what doesn't kill me will make me stronger.
Yes.
I am not vexed with government, I'm not vexed with nobody because once you take control of your life, the secret is...
And this will be, we're going to move to wrap up right now because I see the time here. Go ahead.
You need to take control of your life. The government is not your daddy or your mommy. The government is not there to serve you. The government is there to serve who helped them get elected, and it's not us. It's the business people who gave them money to campaign. Most of us, or a lot of
that's
us,
reality, but that's not how it should be.
Right. Most of us, not necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
That most of us, or a lot of us, went to vote because of what they gave us, whether it's a job or $50 or Shannon or whatever. So you got paid for what you did.
Yeah.
Those people, the business community, was who sponsored that in both international and national business people.
Not everybody though. I'm a business person and I went to vote and
yes, but you're an exception, not the rule.
So I'm not in the next category.
So what you have to understand, the government is not working for us.
Yeah.
It's working for the people with capital.
Yes.
Who sponsors them. It's just if somebody is sponsoring you, what do you do? So you can't depend on
who pays the paper costs the tune.
So you need to understand one thing.
Yes.
These people who are running the world want a global revolution. They said it. They call it the Great Reset. Reset is another word for revolution. Start over, new thing happen.
Yes.
Right? So you either join them, and when you join them, they want you to be their slave.
Yes.
Literally. You find a way, like the Amish, the people I admire the most. Not the Mennonites. The Mennonites is a medium version. The Amish went to the extreme. They use mule cat. They don't even have cell phone. Nothing. They live nothing from before the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
They use nothing. And they survive, and the U.S. government can't do them nothing. When COVID was happening, they did social distancing, didn't wear masks, nothing.
Yeah.
You have to understand
how is that the U.S. that happened too?
To survive
in the rural areas,
you will have to find a way to become more self-sufficient, and you need community. It can't be only you.
And that's a love. That why you had said the love. That's a love.
Love is community. One cannot survive because, for instance, I don't speak Spanish very well. I know one or two words I learned in school. So, if I am to survive, maybe somebody who could speak Spanish might be useful to me.
Yeah.
So, you need other people. You need to link with other people of like mind. You need love to survive. Your money alone won't do it. And three, and this is very important that you have to understand. Do not panic no matter what they tell you. Do not panic. Sit back
Yeah.
That's what I did when you were pressuring people and so on. I just didn't do. I just, found a way around their system.
And so I want to say, because we really need to wrap up.
Yes.
I want to just remind people that we just always have to start to don't only watch what the mainstream media is telling you. And when I say mainstream media, I mean CNN, Fox,
MSNBC,
yeah, ABC,
Love FM, Channel 5, Channel 7, they have bosses.
Yeah, they have bosses. They're paid. It's who pays them that calls the tune. All right, straight like that. But you have to really start to think for yourself. Start to look and analyze. Listen to listen to the other side, so that you can have a balanced perspective. Listen to the other side. See if what the other side is saying, so that you could decipher and through it all and see what is the truth. What is the truth? What do you see as the truth? You won't know everything. I understand that. None of us know everything. However, we have to make an effort to be wise in our decision making, and that can only come about if we try to ensure that we hear different views. Don't close up your mind and not hear the other side. You see, now if you know for a fact that those people are leading you astray, and you know for a fact that they are not doing it in your best interest, then you possibly don't want to be listening to them. You may still need to hear what they're up to. You understand what I'm saying? Because you still have to be strategic and you have to be tactical in whatever you do. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody. Brian, I want to thank you. As always, thank you. This show is about education. This show is about, being informative, educating people, and just empowering people as well.
This show over time is going to grow because it's taking a while for people to know about it and know that it exists. But over time, just like everything else.
And Facebook, I will tell you, Brian, that Facebook has reduced our distribution. As a matter of fact, we have the notice. I can show you all the restrictions. We were restricted for 90 days. And it's because I have been posting different things, and I was the main person who was dealing, it's my account that was being used for the show and linked to the show. And now we're back on another a month. And so even before that, it was reduced from the time we started dealing with COVID. And so from July, when we started, they immediately started reduce. And so hence the reason now, even though we're coming out of it, we still know that we're still restricted. For example, I got put in Facebook jail for 1 month simply for posting something whereby I said, okay, for 6 months, I had posted to the people. I said for 6 months I have been restricted, and for posting one video, I remember one video at a time. It had like 6 months ago. Anyway, they banned me for another month. They haven't banned that person for that has that, but they banned me. So I'm just saying it's restricted, and so hence the reason why even its platform. Listen, I have seen people who, thank you Adolfo, I have seen people, if all I did was just laugh and just put up jokes, comedic jokes, or push to get the vaccine, push away. Oh my gosh. Facebook would have allowed us, like I can't even put an ad. Facebook restricts us, and we can't even put an ad. And we don't have that distribution. They stop it. It's only people who want to watch a show, they will make sure they watch a show. So they have blocked that simply because of my position, really, and the position of my guests who come on. So it's also the guests. And with that said, like I said, we are also on other platforms. So you will be able to see us, of course, on the other platforms. I think it's what all, Marvin, I think LinkedIn, YouTube, and Rumble. It's a number of them. I think it's different ones that I'm not sure, but he has a list of them that he now has us on. Yeah, he has us on a lot of them. So let me just say, I think it's Twitch, Twitter, Xcloud, what is it? The LinkedIn, Dailymotion, just a number of them. So I'm going to start to put those on the flyer too, so just to let you know that we are on those. And so we're not going to only depend on Facebook. Who wants to watch on Facebook? It's still going to be an option, but we are on other entities. And I'm doing so just because at the end of the day, I can't continue to have Facebook censor the show. Yeah. Okay? So with that said, this show is brought to you through the courtesy of Sea Belize Vacation Rentals, Sea Belize Tours and Events Planning. 5 miles Philip Golson Highway, that's only 1 minute away from Halover Bridge. So if you want to just get away, you know, for a while, a weekend or a week or whatever, we have awesome rentals at different costs. And we also have this beautiful infinity pool, crystal clear, 6 feet deep for those who want to dive. There is a section, I think almost 4 feet, 3 feet, I think 8 inches for those who don't know how to swim, who wants to stay in that area. And also it's 40 foot long. It's quite a big pool that's sufficient for you to really enjoy yourself. It overlooks. We have an overwater deck facing the sea, so you can hang out there. We have another deck. We sell drinks, of course, and so it's just a lovely time that you can have just to relax and just to rejuvenate and rewind. Visit us. Our number is 615-4485, 615-4465, and 615-4467. Again, 615-4485, 65, and 67. We're gonna go ahead. Next week we're gonna talk about, I think it's a marijuana. It's a bill that I already had someone asking me to be on the show. He wants to be on the show to discuss that. So that is what we're looking at for next week. I had told him sure. He just wanted to see what they were going to say today at the house meeting, and so we're going to discuss that. So with that said, thank you very much. Tune in next week, same time, same place. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and let's take it away with the Sea Belize ad. Good night, everybody.